Last time we concluded with verse 47, which is one of the most significant verses. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbuhu mate sangostva karmani. So basic message which was given in that particular verse is don't be attached to attached to fruit of action. You do your job properly and correctly, results will automatically follow. This was the basic message which was contained in that popular, very, very popular verse. Now, Lord Krishna is elaborating the same concept here. He is also telling us how we can do this. Because normally, it's not very easy to forget about the fruit of action. So that is why he is trying to tell us how to proceed further. This is contained in verse 48. Yogastaha kuru karmani.
Yogastaha kuru karmani.
Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya.
Sanyam tyaktva dhananjaya.
Siddhi asiddhayoho.
Siddhi asiddhayoho.
Samaha bhutva.
Samaha bhutva.
Samatvam yoga uchyate.
Samatvam yoga uchyate.
Basically, here he is telling Siddhi, Asiddhi. Siddhi is success, Asiddhi is not having success. That is, we can call it failure. Both you treat similarly. You do your efforts may succeed, may not succeed. That means the meaning is may or may not succeed in the short run. In the long run, they will definitely succeed. But in the short run, you must have patience. It may or may not give immediate results. Samaha bhutva, treating them as alike. Yogastaha kuru karmani. You perform your duty. Sangam tyaktva, giving up action, giving up attachment. That is what is saying. Now, if you read this together, Yogastaha kuru karmani.
Yogastaha kuru karmani.
Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya.
Sanyam tyaktva dhananjaya.
Siddhya siddhyoho samo bhutva.
Siddhya siddhyoho samo bhutva.
Siddhi asiddhi together becomes siddhya siddhyoho. Siddhya siddhyoho. It becomes yogastaha kuru karmani.
Yogastaha kuru karmani.
Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya.
Sanyam tyaktva dhananjaya.
Siddhya siddhyoho samo bhutva.
Siddha siddhyoho samo bhutva.
Samatvam yoga uchyate.
Samatvam yoga uchyate.
The last three words in this part is a sentence by itself. Samatvam yoga uchyate. So normally question is what is yoga? Yoga is nothing but having a sense of samatvam, having a sense of equanimity, evenness to results. That is called yoga. That is what Krishna is telling here. Oh Dhananjaya, tyaktva sangham, renouncing attachment to fruit of action, samaha bhutva siddhi asiddhi, treating alike success and failure, karmani kuru karmani, perform actions. How? Yogastaha, yoga staha, being steadfast in yoga. But what is yoga? Next words explain. Samatvam yoga uchyate. That means you consistently have this feeling of evenness for both success and failure, and simply perform your duty with all sincerity. Now, this Lord Krishna's advice here is particularly relevant in the present day world also. In any sphere. For example, Elections are going now. In India, 5 states elections are going now. Every party's leaders are they are putting all their efforts are campaigning. At this moment, they should not worry what is going to happen on May 2nd when the ballots are opened. If they start worrying about that, they cannot do any sincere campaigning. You do sincere campaigning, you try to put forward your point of view without abusing others and expect people to support you. That's all. One example I'm giving you. In every sphere of life, this works. But only by because of starting to think what is going to happen that day, that is what is called attachment, we become miserable today itself. Why should I worry what is going to happen May 2nd? It is not in your hands. Today you campaign well. We'll see what happens on that day. We should not run after success. Of course, sometimes success may not come. It may be failure. Doesn't matter. You do the best. We detest failure. We should not have. So the easy method is no regrets about the past, no anxiety about the future. If you do that, the result is perpetual sorrow. We would have been unhappy yesterday. We may be unhappy tomorrow, but today also unnecessarily we'll be unhappy. We become slaves to our likes and dislikes. So what we should do is we should try to understand the situation because all our likes and dislikes, universe is not going to oblige. The environment will not oblige. They have no obligation to us because we do our job. We need to have an ideal in life. We may not have ideal life, but we should have an ideal, a goal, a clear-cut goal we must have. And preferably, if you have a noble cause, a higher goal, like not only your welfare, but welfare of your colleagues, welfare of your organization, welfare of your surroundings. You have that, then it becomes much easier for you. And you'll be able to get over your selfish likes and dislikes. This is actually called yoga. Yoga or samatvam is this what they are trying to say. We should learn to treat success and failure alike. Siddhi, asiddhi, samaha bhutva. Treat them alike. That is what this particular verse tells us. And why he is telling? Because that he explains now. Action or result to action, it is something inferior. Action itself is superior. If you are doing your action sincerely, that is much superior to worrying about the result for the action. We'll read this verse. Durena hi avaram karma.
Durena hi avaram karma.
Dura means inferior. Durena hi avaram karma.
Durena hi avaram karma.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Here, Buddhi yoga means actually it is karma yoga. It is yoga of knowledge. This is yoga. Compared to performing an action without attachment, that is the ideal way. Compared to that, running after fruits of action is a very, very inferior quality. Durena hi avaram karma.
Durena hi avaram karma.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Therefore, Krishna says, you take refuge under yoga. That is buddhi. Buddha means buddhi yoga. Buddhau sharanam anvicha.
Buddhau saranam anvischa.
Also because krupanaha phalahetavaha.
Krupanaha phalahetavaha.
They use a very strong word. Krupanaha means wretched people. The people who run after fruits of action are wretched. Very, very inferior. That's what Krishna is telling here. Durena hevaram karma.
Durena hyavaram karma.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Buddhau sharanamanvicha.
buddhau saranamanvicha
Krupanaha Falahetavaha.
krupanaha phalahetavaha.
Durena, by far, without doubt, by far, Buddhi Yoga compared to pursuit of action in conjunction with intellect, that is Buddhi, Karma, actions undertaken with selfish motives, is inferior. Krishna says there is no doubt about it. If you run after action only because of fruits, compared, that is very, very inferior compared to performing action without worrying about the fruits of action. Durena buddhi yogat karma avaram dhananjaya. Therefore, he is telling, oh Dhananjaya, anvichha. See, this is what you should try to achieve. Seek refuge in knowledge. Therefore, Sharanam Buddhau Anvichha. He's also making a declaration. Falahetavaha Upanaha. He means indeed. He's giving stress. Falahetavaha. Those who are motivated only by results, they are indeed pitiable, miserable, because they are only spoiling their life. That is what Krishna says. Buddhi Yoga means, again, he's clarifying again and again, Buddhi Yoga means actions undertaken in conjunction with intellect, Buddhi. What does Buddhi tell you? Buddhi tells you don't worry about fruits of action. Here, the term karma is used to refer to all actions related to rituals based on superstitions and blind beliefs, actions with selfish motives and fruits thereof. All these mundane activities which people routinely do for getting some result, some benefit with some sankalpa, that is inferior. The people who do this are actually self-centered, desire-ridden. Because we are desire-ridden, what happens is, if it doesn't succeed, you get mental tension. If it succeeds, you want more and more, again mental tension. So that is not going to give you peace of mind. Whereas in Buddhi Yoga, that's why shown in green letters, the intellect is set upon a higher ideal, a noble goal. A noble goal you cannot achieve in short period. It's a long-term objective. So you don't have to worry about results of action. Here, the mind surrenders to that goal and the body merely executes the action to achieve it. That is why Krishna says, Buddhi Yoga is considered far superior to such mundane, result-oriented actions. So Krishna is advising us to seek refuge within, because Paramatma is within you, and not blindly run after the objects of the external world. These are very, very simple verses, but with profound meaning. So now the same line of argument continues here. He says, Buddhi yuktaha jahati iha.
Buddhi yuktaha jahati haha.
Jahati iha.
Jahati iha.
Ubhe sukruta dushkrute.
Ubhe sukruta dushkrute.
Tasmat yogaya yujyasva.
Tasmat yogaya yujyasva.
Yogaha karmasu kaushalam.
Yogaha karmasu kaushalam.
A very, very interesting concept which normally other scriptures may not tell you. What Krishna tells is, in this world itself, iha, in this world itself, jahati, kill, that is give up. Ubhe, both, sukruta, dushkrute. That means you perform action, you may get punya or you may get papa. Krishna says give up both. Attachment to even punya, papa, both you give up. Because punya will lead to heaven, but it's only short term. You again come back to mortal world. If you do papa, you suffer in what is called hell. Either case, they are only temporary passing phases. So give up both, he says. So if you do that, then what happens is you attain yoga. Again, he says, what is yoga? Yoga is karmasu kaushalam. performing your duty to the best of your ability. Kaushalam is efficiency, dakshata. Performing your action to the best of your ability in with all sincerity, without worrying about results. That is true yoga. Again, the same thing is explained here. Buddhi yukto jahatiha
Buddhiyukto jahatiha
ubhe sukruta dushkrute
ubhe sukruta dushkrute
tasmat yogaya yujjasva
tasmat yogaya yujjasva
yogaha karmasu kaushalam.
yogaha karmasu kaushalam.
You can see here in one verse he is actually divided into 3 sentences. First sentence is Buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukruta dushkrute. United with knowledge, shed itself, here itself, both good and bad deeds. Results of good and bad deeds. With this, devote yourself to yoga. Tasmat yogaya yujjasva. Yogaha karmasu kaushalam. Yoga in the form of equanimity, that's again samatvam, is skill in action. We are focusing on that. That is one united to knowledge. That is the advantage of doing work with intellect. Intellect guides you, tells you to shed here itself. That means in this world only. Don't wait for tomorrow. I'll go and do later. No, right now. Right now, shed attachment to both good and bad deeds, results of your actions. With this knowledge, devote yourself to yoga. Yoga in the form of equanimity, samatvam, in action is skill, kaushalam. Now you can see here, people are of 2 types. Very nice example which Swami Parsati has given. One type of persons are active, productive, and prosperous. But they may be lacking in peace of mind. Maybe entrepreneurs, maybe businessmen, always worried about it, always tense, perpetually caught up in a mad rat race. Then you have another contrast. You are relatively peaceful and contented people, not very productive. Such people are inactive, laid back. They themselves don't prosper. They don't achieve anything. But happy, आराम से पड़े रहते हैं, लेटे रहते हैं, कोई चिंता नहीं, कोई समस्या नहीं. So these are 2 extremes. But path of yoga helps us to achieve both together. Path of yoga leads to real self, Atman, and realization. Rising above good and bad, that is above what you call desire-ridden actions, eradicating vasanas, that the tendencies, petty tendencies, then merging the Supreme Self. This is what is called skill in action. So you see the first 2 types of persons. One type of person is active, productive, prosperous, but not happy. Other persons are happy, peaceful, but not very productive. Whereas if you are a karma yogi, it helps you to do both. Best way is dynamic action and also perfect peace of mind. The one example it immediately comes to mind is Swami Vivekananda. Or in the present day world, maybe any devotee, any sincere devotee of any guru, any organization, I'm not worried about that. It may be a Sai devotee, maybe ISKCON devotee, anybody. These are the people, they are very, very active. They are contributing to society, but they are always happy and peaceful. Because their goal, their objective is not self-centered, not narrow-minded. They are doing something for society, so they are very happy. This applies to anybody, good person doing anywhere. Maybe even art of living person is there. Or it may not be, maybe a householder. Maybe you are a secretary in an association. For example, Saket Pranam is having association. There are executive committee members are there. If they are doing their job sincerely without narrow self-interest, they are very, very active, but they are also quite happy. So this is the way which Gita teaches us how you can have yoga karmasu kaushalam. Next verse is Karmajam buddhi yukta hi
Karmajam buddhiyukta hi
phalam tyaktva manishinaha.
phalam tyaktva manishinaha
Janma bandha vinirmuktaha
janma bandha vinurmuktaha
padam gachanti anamayam.
padam gachanti anamayam.
He is telling the advantage of this. If a person is able to phalam tyaktva buddhi yuktahi, by knowledge, by buddhi yoga, if a person is able to give up the fruit of action, then what he gets is janma bandha vinirmuktaha. Because no karma phala attaches persons, there is no fear of rebirth. That means he is freed from bondage of life and death. Janma bandha vinirmuktaha gachanti. He reaches which one? He reaches padam anamayam, the supreme state, that is Parandhama. He reaches that state by merely giving up fruit of action. That's all you have to do. You don't have to go and do tapasya in a forest, etc. Not required. Be where you are. Be a samsari. Be your job. But do it without fruit of action. Then you are able to achieve this great objective. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi
Karmajam buddhiyukta hi
phalam tyaktva manishinaha
phalam tyaktva manishinaha
janma bandha vinirmuktaha
janma bandha vinirmuktaha
padam gacchantyanāmayam.
padam gacchantyanāmayam.
Buddhi yuktahi, united to knowledge. Manishinaha is a wise man. That's what they say, difference between a manishi and manishi. Manishi is the ordinary average human being. Manishi is a wise person. Manishi, how does he manage? Tyaktva phalam karmajam, renouncing the fruit of action. Karma, attached to karma is your fruit, renouncing that action. Tyaktva karmajam phalam. What he gets is janma bandha vinirmuktaha, liberated from the bond of birth and death. Gachanti padam anamayam. He will reach the state beyond evil, beyond problems, beyond rebirth. That is Parandhama. So path of yoga, buddhi yoga, helps us to unite with the supreme self, what we call Atman, the Paramatma. Whereas the path of the world, which normally we follow, the path of desire-ridden action, it adds to our stock of vasanas. Vasanas may be again good or bad. They are impressions which are there in our mind. It makes us do more action, more karma. So this actually what it does is it perpetuates the cycle of birth and death. We are not able to break out. To break out this, you'll have to follow the path of yoga. It wipes off all the old vasanas. That is renouncing fruits of action, acting without egocentric desires. A person can achieve liberation from the cycle of birth and death, which is called Janma Bandha Vinirmukti. And a person will be able to achieve realization. That is Anamaya Padam, a state beyond all problems. Anamaya can mean disease, can mean problem. We go beyond that state, straight away reach that state. Now, he is giving a sort of an example. That's why yada tada it will give. Yada te moha kalilam
Yada te moha kalilam
buddhihi vyatitarishyati.
buddhihi vyatitarishyati
Buddhihi vyatitarishyati.
buddhiti yatitarishyati
Tada gantasi nirvedam
tada gantasi nirvedam
srotavyasya sutasya cha.
srotavyasya srutasya cha.
Let's see the meaning, will come back here. Yada, that is when, te buddhihi, when your intellect vyatitarishyati crosses moha kalilam, the mire of delusion. This is what we call the maya. The maya which is enveloping all the human beings. You will be able to break out of this maya. That is, you will be able to get liberation, moksha. So you are able to get it. When you are able to cross this delusion, maya, that what we see before us is only real. What we don't see, that is the goodness, that is Paramatma, all attributes are imaginary. This feeling is a delusion. If you are able to come out of this moha kalilam. Kalilam means is a mire of delusion. The more you go into it, the more you get stuck up. That is what is called a mire. ऊबी అది లాగేస్తుంది లోపలికి మళ్ళీ మళ్ళీ బయటికి రానివ్వదు उसमें फंस गया तो फंस जाते हैं तदा then gantasi only then you will attain nirvedam. Nirvedam means a state of indifference to what? Shrutasya, what has been heard. Shrotavyasya, what is yet to be heard. That means you will get indifference to what has happened in the past, what is going to happen in the future. You don't worry about the past, you don't worry about the future. You get this state of indifference. You don't worry. You accept it. Not that you are ignoring it. You are aware of it. It's okay. ठीक है, चलता है. Life is like this. Whatever is going to happen will happen. This feeling you will get provided when you are able to cross delusion, state of maya. Yada te moha kalilam.
यदा ते मोहकलिलं
बुद्धिर व्यतितरिष्यति
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्
श्रोतव्यस्य सुतस्य च
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य.
Now here what we say is karma yoga helps us to reduce most of our desires. All desires will not go. Reduce bigger desires can be brought down, can be made more intense, or we can have a bigger desire. Instead of having a desire about petty things, have a desire about a bigger things. Instead of worrying about your own narrow self-interest, you start focusing on requirements of your family, all entire family, maybe joint family, extended family, your neighborhood, your colony, your state, ultimately Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So you gradually increase your span. That is the way you substitute a lower goal with a higher goal. Petty desire with a noble desire. That's enough, because you can never become desireless. You can always have a higher desire. So withdrawal from preoccupation from the external world enables us to see divinity in ourselves and also in other individuals and beings around us. Yesterday I was reading somewhere, then Hanumanji goes before Ravana. He is praising Ravana, but he went and saluted Ravana. He is praising Rama. Then Ravana asked him, you keep on talking so much of Rama, you are praising Rama like anything, but you are prepared to salute me. Why? He says, I am not saluting you, I am saluting Rama in you. He says. He is able to see, that is what my Rama taught me. My Rama taught me to see him in every object and every person. He was able to see Rama also in Ravana. So he has no hesitation in saluting even the person appearing before him in a form of a Ravana. So that is the nobility. If you are able to see divinity in ourselves and also in all individuals and beings around you, that's the greatness. So here, when you say what you heard, what you are not heard, means hearing is not only about hearing with the ears. Actually refers to all our senses. Whatever we are hearing, whatever we are feeling, whatever we are smelling, whatever we are tasting, whatever we are touching, not only that, whatever we are feeling with the mind, whatever we are thinking with the intellect, all these things together comes under the category of Shrotavyasya Sutasya cha. That means you gradually become indifferent to the mundane materialistic world around you. You are neither too elated with joy, nor too depressed with sorrow. It is normal. It is human being. We feel happy, we feel unhappy. It's very okay. But you don't have to remain in the state of unhappiness forever. You don't have to affect your life. That is what Gita teaches us. And the last verse in this particular segment, we have come to that. Shruti vipratipanna
Shruti vipratipanna te
yada sthasyati nishchala
yada stasyati nischala
samadhau achala buddhihi
samadhau achala buddhihi
tada yogam avapsyasi.
tada yogam avapsyasi.
Here also you can see the phraseology yada tada are coming, but yada tada is coming in the middle of the verse. Earlier it came in the beginning of the verse. Shruti vipratipanna te
Shruti vipratipanna te
yada sthasyati nischala
yada stasyati nischala
samadha vachala buddhihi
samadha vachala buddhihi
tada yogam avapsyasi.
tada yogamavapsyasi.
Now here, Shruti Vipratipanna means normally the world, when you see the world around you, whatever you see, whatever we hear, normally our tendency is we get perplexed, we get confused, we get worried. This is called Shruti Vipratipanna. Now, when the mind is, intellect is crossing beyond this stage, Sthasyati Nischala Achala. When the mind, when your intellect is able to be steady and immobile in meditation, despite what we see, what we hear around us. That means our goal is very, very simple. We have faith in one supreme being. We know what we are doing is right. And lot of things happen over which we may not have any control, but we continue to stick to our own chosen path. Such a person is not perplexed, not unduly worried about the ways of the world, what is happening around you. So such a person is called a yogi because he is in a state of a self-realization. Tada yogam avapsyasi, it says. Now we have to understand that our mind focus is on intellect. Intellect is very important, not the mind. Mind is like a monkey, that is what they say. You see these two natures of this. Monkey is called chalaha astiraha. They are using two adjectives. Chalaha astiraha. For example, a monkey, what it does, it keeps on jumping from one branch to another. It keeps on jumping from one place to another place. It never remains in one place. That is, it is chalaha. So if you are able to control the mind and make it remain in one place, it becomes achalha. But that is not enough. Suppose you get catch hold of a monkey, tie it down to a chair, tie its hands and legs. Is it enough? No. Even then, it keeps on moving its head. It keeps on, eyes will be going here and there. That means it is achalaha, but still astiraha. That stability is not there in that. So what is required is you need both. Mind also is like this. Mind jumps from object to object. For example, normally a person is a busy person. He will find one next to other not to perform his puja or not to go before a temple. He will find 100 reasons why he should avoid going to a temple or spend 20 minutes in a puja room. But somebody forces him or he is forcing himself to go and sit there. You may physically sit before a God's idol, but where is the guarantee your mind is on the God? Your mind may be still wavering here and there. So that is why it says it wavering there. The mind jumps from object to object, and when we try to fix it to a point also, like a portrait or an idol of God, still it will waver. Now, what is the solution? You adopt Karma Yoga. In Karma Yoga, it helps you to control the movement of the mind from object to object. Once you do Karma Yoga, next is Dhyana Yoga. That is meditation. You not only sit physically in one place, but you are able to tackle the wavering mind. Now, as the mind slips into other thoughts, the intellect will gradually pull it back to the point of meditation. It may be a mantra, it may be idol, a portrait, or a sound like Omkara. Omkara is Shabda Brahman. Very, very important, very powerful. Think of that. So we should try to make the mind immobile, achalaha, and steady, sthiraha. A steady and undisturbed mind is more productive in every walk of life. If you adopt this secret, then you will succeed everywhere in life, including in a practical daily life also, you will be able to succeed. So this is what is mentioned here. With this particular segment comes to a close. Krishna has given his portion of whatever he wanted to tell, he has told Arjuna. Now, what Arjuna is going to ask, how Arjuna is going to react, will be very, very interesting because they're exactly like us. Now, we have heard all those things, but are we satisfied? Are we clear? We don't know. So, we have lots of questions in our mind on our behalf. Now, Arjuna is going to ask all these questions to Lord Krishna. And Krishna is very patiently, like a teacher,